Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. John Owen talks about sports and movies. Thank you for checking out today's video. I always appreciate the support. Let's get into it. So, on the cusp of the 2025 NFL playoffs featuring, the classic 7-team or 14-team field, today I'm going to give my playoff predictions in a video, game-by-game picks, matchups, and eventual Super Bowl winners. I'll make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe so you never miss out on any of the fun. Let me know how you guys think these games are going to go. What do you think will be important in these matchups and then hypothetical matchups based on how the games play out? And who you ultimately think is going to win the Super Bowl? Without further ado, let's actually get into our picks. Well, first, we're going to do a tier list, actually, of kind of how I see these teams before we actually get into our picks. So, the top of the tier list, we've got the Chiefs. They're on a three-peat quest. They're trying to become the first team ever to repeat. They were a little shaky, admittedly, especially as a Chiefs fan. You see the hat. You girls knew that already. They were a little shaky for most of the year. I was pretty concerned, but the last couple of weeks, really the last month, they've really turned it on. Not counting the Week 18 game against the Broncos, but the offense started to look better. The emergence of Xavier Worthy, acquiring D. Hollywood Brown is back. We know Travis Kelce is going to step his game up in the playoffs, and you've got the best quarterback, the best coach, the best coordinator. Yeah, that's a pretty good formula to succeed. Plus, that defense is absolutely incredible. Chris Jones, Trey McDuffie, George Karlaftis, Nick Bolton, the entire crew. So I think they've kind of separated themselves. Like, they've got the closer, they've got the best coach, all that stuff, right? So I think, we know that they're kind of in their own league right now. Contenders. Now, all three of these teams, of these next teams, are 100% good enough to win the Super Bowl. And I think they could beat the Chiefs. Like, I don't think, the Chiefs are just going to roll through this. The NFL's too good at the top this year, especially this year, where the Chiefs are just going to, roll through them. But the Lions, I would say if the Lions were healthier, I would honestly probably put them on the same level as the Chiefs. But without key players like David Montgomery and Aiden Hutchinson, I'm just going to have to knock them down a peg, but they're really good. They've been just beating the hell out of everyone this year. Number one seed, rightfully so, in the NFC. They've got that mentality. Like, they're really hungry. They're really determined to win it this year, which I think, that passion and that desire can go a long way. And then the Eagles, they went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and they basically have the same core: Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, AJ Brown. I was like, oh my gosh, they've still got a good line. Jalen Carter has really come into his own. The defense has been a lot better this year than it was last year, because last year they were so horrible and so bad. But Terrion Arnold and Cooper DeJean, I think they've got, they drafted two corners, really good players. Like I said, Jalen Carter's coming on. And then they added Saquon Barkley, who almost broke the rushing record this year and became the ninth player to rush for 2,000 yards in a year. Arguably the best and healthiest roster in the league. Jalen Hurts hasn't played in a few weeks, but besides that, they've got the best roster and arguably the healthiest one right now. And I think that's really big. And then the Ravens, Lamar's been even better than he was last year, which he was even better than the first time he won MVP. Kind of in a similar situation. The Eagles, great roster, and then they added Derrick Henry, who's really been able to revitalize his career. Not that he was ever bad, of course, but he's really been able to be really, really excellent and effective for them. So any of these three teams could win the Super Bowl, and I would not be surprised. And then the Vikings, I think, are close to them, but I just trust them a little less because I don't trust Sam Darnold as much as I do Jared Goff, Jalen Hurts, and Lamar Jackson. I think they're equal, team-wise. Kevin O'Connell's a great coach. They've got a bunch of great weapons. They've been solid on defense this year. But I just don't trust Sam Darnold as much as the other three quarterbacks, Goff, Hurts, and Lamar Jackson. So for that reason, I'm going to put them in their own tier, just because I feel like they're kind of in this weird middle ground between the three contenders and then this intriguing tier that you see down below. Now, intriguing, I'm not going to go into every single one of these teams, but basically, I could see any of these teams winning a playoff game just across the board. I really think they could. And they're not seeing a path. The Steelers are coming in flat, and I just don't think the Broncos are there yet, especially with the matchup that the Broncos got. But with that being said, here's I think are the tiers. Now, let's actually get into the picks. Okay, we're going to start with the AFC first. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go from high seed to low seed in these first round games. So Buffalo and Denver, based on what I just said, you guys probably have a guess of what I'm going to go with. But I think Denver's been really great this year. They've been really surprising. I mean, I did not have it on my bingo card for them to win 10 games. Bo Nix has been better than expected. Sean Payton showed how great of a coach he is. They've got some good, solid pieces, but I just don't think they're quite there yet where they can go to Buffalo and beat Josh Allen and them at home. And Josh Allen's been great this year. Him and Lamar have been kind of co-MVP, this entire season. I think Lamar should win, and it really shouldn't be discussion, but Josh Allen has had an MVP-worthy season as well. So for that reason, I'm going to go with the Bills. Okay, next in a 3-6 game. I think this game will be close just because it's a division rival. This is the third time these teams have played. Zay Flowers may not play, and George Pickens is back, which the last time they played and the Ravens beat the hell out of them, Zay Flowers was in and George Pickens was out. So I think it being a playoff game, Pickens being in, Zay Flowers being out might bridge that gap a little bit. But the Steelers have been limping. Honestly, they've been limping. They've lost 4 in a row. They're doing their classic Steelers collapse. I don't have a lot of faith in them. I think this game will be close, but I'm not going to bet against Lamar. The evolution he's had as a passer this year, where he's taken yet another jump and another leap, all while still maintaining that threat and viability on the ground, has been remarkable to watch. He's been absolutely incredible, and I don't think he goes home in the first round. And the Texans Chargers, I think this is going to be a really good game. The Texans are once again cursed with the 3:30 Saturday wild card. Like they are every time the Texans have had a playoff game, their first one has been the Saturday 3:30 wild cards, which is just kind of funny to me. But the Texans have been kind of limping. They're really banged up right now. Like no Stephon Diggs, no Tank Dell. And they just have not really been able to hit their ceiling this year, even before all the injuries. They've been good, don't get me wrong. CJ Stroud has had a slight sophomore slump. The Texans are horrible against the blitz. The Chargers have been the most effective team blitzing when they blitz. And I think the Chargers are going to be able to shorten this game. They've got a great run game, Jim Harbaugh. And I think we're going to get a Jay Harbaugh masterclass. So this is going to be our first upset. I think the Chargers are going to go on the road and upset the Texans in the first round. Okay, next we'll go in the higher seed order again. Chiefs, Chargers, division rivals. These teams are super familiar with each other, but I don't think the Chargers have enough star power to go toe-to-toe with Kansas City. Not with the talent that Kansas City has amassed. Even without the likes of Rashee Rice, I just don't think the Chargers are going to have enough offensive weapons to keep up with the way that the Chiefs have been playing on offense the last month or so. They just don't have the guys on offense yet. They're way ahead of schedule. This is going to be a remarkable first season for Jim Harbaugh. You win 10 games, you make the playoffs, you win a playoff game, but I do think their season ends here, and the Chiefs go ahead and win. Baltimore, Buffalo. Now, this right here, this is going to be a classic if we get this game. The two MVP front runners all year. This game would be in Buffalo, which I think is really important. But I think this game is going to come down to which quarterback is going to make more plays. And this year, Lamar has just been absolutely exceptional. And this is a coin toss. This game legitimately is totally a coin toss. And I think this is the year we might see Lamar kind of overcome those playoff struggles. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Ravens. And then Chiefs-Ravens, I think this would be another great game rematch from last year's AFC Championship game. I think Lamar will play better than he did last year, but I think the Chiefs are also better. The Ravens are better, but the Chiefs are too. And I just am not going to pick against Patrick Mahomes at home. So for that reason, I'm going to pick the Chiefs to represent the AFC. Okay, next we're going to do the NFC as well, same format. So let's start with Eagles-Packers. I think this right here is going to be a really, really great game. The Packers, they added Josh Jacobs. He's been great this year. Matt LaFleur's a great coach. Jordan Love is great when he's on. And he's been good all year when he's played. But the Packers are a little banged up right now. No Jair Alexander, and they've had some other injuries. I just think the Eagles are going to have too much star power, and they're just going to kind of overwhelm the Packers. And at home, too, I think they're going to go ahead and win the game. Okay, next, Bucks, Commanders. I think this is going to be a really high-scoring game. Neither of these defenses have been great this year, which, you would not maybe associate with a typical Todd Bowles and Dan Quinn team, but that's just the reality we live in. Baker Mayfield has been great. Baker has really revitalized his career. Him and Sam Darnold have really proved that situation is so important, because look at the way that they've been able to revitalize their careers. And then with the Commanders, you have Jaden Daniels, who they basically have the same team as last year. They just added Jaden Daniels and hired Dan Quinn. And I think that Jaden Daniels has been incredible. If it's not him or Brock Bowers for Rookie of the Year, I don't know who should be. But I think it's going to be a really high-scoring game, and I don't know. I just really like the Commanders in this game. I really just trust them and feel good. And maybe it's because I've watched a lot of the Commanders this year, so I'm pretty familiar with them. I live in DC, so I always get the Commanders game when it's the regional TV coverage. And I think Jaden Daniels is going to continue his really wonderful Rookie of the Year campaign. and win a road playoff game. And then next, our last game of wild card weekend will be Rams and Vikings. I think this is going to be a good game. The Rams beat the Vikings earlier this year, so that's something to keep in mind. And I think the Rams can make this game really close. You got Stafford, McVay, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Kyren Williams has been great. And then you look at the Vikings, Sam Darnold has been played great all year, but in the biggest game of the year, he really was not good against the Lions. He really was bad. He's been shaky. But maybe he just needed an actual big NFL game. He's never played in a game that big at this level. So maybe he just needed to get the jitters out. I think, the Rams passing game has not been as consistent and as effective as it needs to be as of late. And they're not that great in the secondary. So I think the Vikings are going to prove why they won 14 games. Sam Darnold, Jay Jettis, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson. I think they're going to be able to take advantage of a weak Rams secondary and go ahead and we're going to have another road upset. Okay, next, Lions Commanders. As much fun as has been watching Commanders this year, I think this is kind of similar to my Chiefs Chargers assessment. I just don't think the Commanders are there yet. A great first year, way, way super ahead of schedule, but the Lions just have too much firepower, too much star power for the Commanders to keep up. Daniels is not going to win the Ford Field and beat Dan Campbell at home. It's just not going to happen. And then Eagles Vikings, I think this is going to be a really, really great game. If this was Eagles Buccaneers, I'd be more concerned for the Eagles because the Buccaneers have really had their number. The way they play defense really disrupts the read option running game for the Eagles. But the Vikings, I don't see them posing that much of a threat, that level of a threat to the Eagles in that same way that the Bucs would, because the Eagles just match up weird against the Bucs. But I think this is going to be a really great game. I think this could be a pretty high scoring game, but Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni, this core is proven like they've made it to a Super Bowl. Winning one road playoff game is not enough for me to shake my confidence in the Eagles, who have been better, and with Saquon could be able to shorten the game and not give Sam Darnold, Jay Jettis, and that crew as many opportunities. And at home, I'm going to pick the Eagles. And I think in a really huge clash right here, Eagles-Lions, I feel like the Lions are just this team of destiny this year. Like, they've been able to overcome every single injury. They've beat the hell out of people. They never back down. They never just run out the game. They're so consistent and they're so hungry. And unfortunately, while the Eagles are battle tested, I don't get that sense of hunger from them because I don't get that from Nick Sirianni the same way I get it from Dan Campbell. So I think this is going to be a really good, gritty game. And I think this game could go either way, genuinely and truly. But I think being at home gives the Lions a slight advantage, and I'm going to go ahead and pick them to win the NFC. So then our Super Bowl, we get Chiefs versus Lions. I think this would be an incredible matchup. It would probably be the best matchup as far as just teams. And I know, like, fandom wise, like Bills Lions would actually scorch the earth, but I think this would be objectively the best game we could get, just from a pure talent on the field product. The Chiefs going for the three-peat versus the Lions, who have never even been to Super Bowl before, trying to win their first, slay the Giants. But I'm just not going to bet against the Chiefs. Like, I know I'm a Chiefs fan, but the Patrick, Andy Reid, that core, they just always find a way to do that and to get through and to overcome. And so for that reason, I think they're going to become the first team to three-peat and host the Lombardi Trophy when this is all over. Thank you, everyone, for checking out today's video and staying till the end. Make sure you check out the link contact. Just ignore my low battery marker. But with all that being said, thanks for watching and have a great day.